I'm going to walk you through a process that allows you to facilitate a team identifying some leading indicators from a lagging indicator. So the first thing we're going to do is let's identify a lagging indicator that's important to us that we want to try to impact or move the dial on.
HCAHPS.
Okay, HCAHPS. So let's just say, can we say patient engagement?
Sure.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write that outcome down the board. Okay, and I'm starting on the right side. I'm putting a box around it. And what direction are we trying to make patient engagement go? Up, okay. So we want to improve patient engagement. So I put it on the right side because we want to start with the end in mind, and most people go left to right, okay? We're going to work right to left, but this is the outcome that we're trying to improve. We're putting a box around it so that we can help people focus on the outcome we're trying to improve. And I put the directional arrow here because that helps people remember what we're trying to do with the metric, okay? So that's the first step completed. Second step, tell me 2 or 3 key processes. And if you remember what a process is, it's a collection of repeatable steps that turns inputs into outputs, right? So if our output and our outcome is patient engagement, what are 2 to 3 key processes that we do or that our teams do on an ongoing basis to influence patient engagement?
Purposeful rounding.
Okay, purposeful rounding. We'll call it P-rounding. Okay, what else? That's a great one. Batch rounding might be another one, okay. Batch leader rounding. Anything else? We got patients, we got people in beds. What's something that keeps them happy?
Jello.
Jello, okay, so how about
Health and hospitality.
hospitality, and then I'll put sustenance. And I was specifically thinking about pain management, so I'm going to throw that in with sustenance, but okay. So, and excuse my writing. So what have I done? What have we done here? We've identified the outcome. Now we've identified some processes that contribute to the outcome. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a box around these. And I'm doing that because I want to bring focus to these key processes. And if you can have a lot of processes, and this will help clarify what are the specific processes that contribute to the outcome. And then I'm drawing a branch from the outcome to each of these processes because this reinforces how these processes are connected to that outcome. Okay, third step, and just for the interest of illustrating this activity without going into all the detail that you could go into, let's pick a couple of these processes and let's talk about what are the 3 or 4 key activities or variables, inputs, if you will, that drive the success of those processes, okay? So, purposeful rounding. What are some of the components you need for that to be successful? In order to be effective in your purposeful rounding, what do you need? Or what are some of the elements of that process, the activities within that process that drive effective purposeful rounding?
Active listening.
Okay, listening, great.
A time to complete it.
Listen, would that be like schedule?
Yeah.
Schedule, good. What else?
Maybe format to follow.
Okay, so standard work. I'll just put standard. What else? Those are the three biggies. Oh, identify participants, okay, that's a good one. Yeah, it's not gonna be effective if they're not identified, right? Okay, so that's a good start. So those are four or five activities that are gonna drive effective purposeful rounding. How about this concept of hospitality? What does that mean? What are the things that drive, what does hospitality mean for a patient?
In our world, it's a clean room and food,
Okay,
Warm blankets,
yeah.
updates on delays.
Call lights answered timely.
okay. Okay, we've got sustenance down here, but, so meeting individual needs is what it sounds like. Okay, so that's good. Wow, and so hospitality, I hadn't even thought of that process, but it's obvious, that's a big process. And there's a lot of things that go into that, right? So good. So what we do, we've identified these key activities. I'm going to draw a line into each of these, from the activities into the processes they support. And the reason that I'm doing that is because we want to show how the activities connect to the processes. And when you can see how, unless you get a big whiteboard or you don't have the right size paper, these could get cluttered. So this helps you connect these activities, these clusters of activities that drive these processes that we've identified drive the outcome we're trying to improve. Now, the next step is, what are our main gaps and opportunities with regard to these activities and purposeful rounding? Typically, you'd be talking to a team, so they'd be able to be specific to their department. But let's just say we know the department we're talking about. What are the gaps between active listening? Oh, okay, this is one thing here, sorry. Active listening, having a schedule, having a standard to follow, and identifying participants. What are our big gaps?
Consistency in the schedule.
Consistent schedule. Okay, so I'm gonna circle scheduling, because that's a gap. What else? Is there another one that screams out that we don't have squared away well in our departments that we're serving?
Maybe the standard work.
Standard work, okay, good. Those are the two keys. Let's talk about hospitality. Clean the room, warm blankets, answering call lights, and meeting individual needs. What's the big gap there?
Clean rooms.
Clean rooms, okay. Anything else that jumps out?
Call lights.
Call lights, okay. So those are our two biggies. So what we have done, and the reason we've done it, we've circled these opportunities, these gaps in these activities, and the reason we've done that is so we're bringing focus to the key activity, right? Now, the last step in this process is what is of these that we've circled, what is our gap of greatest opportunity? Like where do we have the biggest, what's gonna give us the biggest bang for the buck? It's gonna have the biggest impact on making these processes successful. That's gonna help us then drive patient engagement.
Schedule and call lights.
Okay? Now, in a real world scenario, you could follow up and ask, how do we know that? Is this anecdotal? Is this based on data? We may not know, but we think so. But effectively, what do you think we've done here in this exercise? By identifying schedule and call lights as two key inputs or variables that drive success of the processes that are going to enhance patient engagement, what might be your takeaway?
You could determine your leading indicators from those, what you're gonna measure to impact your life.
Yes, and excellent. And in fact, what I would say is, if you can figure out a way to measure on a daily basis, are we answering the call lights effectively, and track that and see if we're successful with that. And if we can figure out a way to determine that our purposeful rounding schedule is created, communicated, and followed on a daily basis, those are the two key leading indicators that we can track on our board that would be at that leading indicator level. How do we do each day? that's gonna tell us whether or not we're gonna improve our patient engagement score on a monthly basis. Questions? Okay, you did it. You identified leading indicators from a lagging indicator. Great job. I look forward to seeing how you do with these measures.